Intelligence is measurable, right? It's like this IQ, you take these tests. Wisdom is harder to measure. It tends to be this thing that's elusive for the vast majority of people probably not seeking it. But emotional intelligence is something that kind of bridges the gap between those two, in my opinion. There's so much to be gleaned from the part of life that has you feeling something that I wanted to make a separate video specifically about the concept. If we don't understand this concept, we're just going to be able to stay at the data, right? In order to fulfill that spiritual/wisdom gap, I think emotional intelligence is key. Why is this missed? Because it's hard to know what specific circumstances need to occur in your life for you to start gaining this thing. So I'm going to give you my account of how I've continued to hopefully improve my emotional intelligence and how it's actually paid off. On top of that, I formed some pretty cool relationships with faculty in my clinical setting and staff that were teaching us in kind of a mentee-mentor relationship. And I spent a lot of this time also disciplining myself in terms of how to study, but really learning who I am and learning who I was. When I got into dental school and I actually came around to meeting some of the faculty that admitted me, they told me that they thought that my interview was very mature. They said that part of the reason that they actually admitted me was not necessarily that I had this prowess in my GPA or the data, right, that a lot of people are looking for, but because I had prowess in leadership skills and maturity. Emotional intelligence is your ability to soothe yourself under stress. Emotional intelligence is your ability to maneuver with tact in society. Tact is defined in my definition. Tact is how other people want to be treated, is how you treat them. Our ability to actually give a shit about how someone wants to be treated is tact. EI, emotional intelligence opens doors that logic can't. It's the difference between people wanting to work with you versus tolerating you. The same concept of people are either charming or tedious really comes down to how emotionally intelligent someone is, how well they know themselves, how well they can deal with stress, and how well they can treat other people in accordance to how they want to be treated. Section 3 is self-mastery. Emotional intelligence starts internally. It starts with knowing yourself before trying to lead others. Me leadership versus we leadership. Practices you can use. These are some of the things that I have gone out of my way to try to do consistently, and they seem to have dividends, at least in the day, but definitely in the long run. Is before I wake up in the morning, I try very hard to have a little bit of gratitude, really just humbled by life. Listening before speaking is a really, really good habit to get into. Hard to do for leaders. I'm definitely a victim of this circumstance. I'm definitely someone that's struggled a lot with the listening part, although I definitely incline myself more towards listening to people first. Humility is really hard to come by. When you think you know something, oftentimes that can translate into thinking that you know everything, or that you can surmise everything, even though you just don't have the factual information. Pretty important, in my opinion, to consistently be like, okay, this person's saying something, let me at least listen to them. All right, they might be saying it in a way that I don't want to hear it. Maybe their tactful communication is not great, but I am still humble enough to be like, I don't know. I got this from Dan Martell. The culture of feedback is so important in our personal lives and in our work lives, in our spiritual lives, whatever it is. We need to be open to that. And it really does create this sense of movement, because when as a leader, I've realized I've shown vulnerability in terms of my shortcomings or things that I messed up about, or my ignorance just in general about where I'm going. The more my team has come and helped me understand those things and stepped up to the plate and said, hey, I can take care of these things while you go and do this stuff, because I know you're still trying to figure it out. You don't have all the answers. Let me help you. If we don't let out our inner darkness, we're not going to be able to take full advantage of presence. Basically, those negative emotions that get built up over time in our soul, we're suppressing these opinions about other people. We're suppressing backlash due to people treating us unfairly in a way that we don't want to be treated. We're suppressing perhaps frustration about our life circumstance or about our sexual circumstances, about our physical appearance. Any of this suppression that goes on in life, I think is very, very important for us to at least acknowledge that there is a part of us that is afraid. That if we let this out, that will hurt something or that will let something be known. The byproduct tends to be a greater fluctuation in your emotional state, meaning that normal events, by virtue of not paying attention to the little details, can strike you in a way that you would have not seen coming. Robert Greene calls it our inner darkness, and us releasing it in ways that we don't even know. We need to find things that help us channel this inner darkness consistently. It's like we got to let out the pressure, and ideally we do it in a disciplined way. The cool thing about getting to the point of emotional maturity or emotional mastery to some degree is that you are able to slow down more, is what I've noticed. There's more clarity in what we're trying to say. The pursuit of emotional mastery will get us to be more comfortable with ourselves. And if we understand ourselves better and what we believe, for instance, in the AI conversation, we're able to actually listen more because we're not frankly searching for the answers in the moment. Very, very important, I think, to pursue this. When you can remain balanced through chaos, that's when you know you're growing. Pretty important. A key performance indicator for growth. You stay calmer in situations that once overwhelmed you. You act instead of react. Another pro tip about not being reactive. Try very, very hard to not be on your phone an hour after you wake up. Text messages, emails, social media, all these things, if they get you to get away from that clarity and peace of mind and being aware of yourself, you're going to be way more reactive over the course of the day. It's going to lead to essentially a cascade of emotional suppression. Try not to do it. It's worked for me. Leadership through connection, section 4. So emotionally intelligent leaders build trust faster. And this is to my point. We show vulnerability more. We admit when we have made mistakes, and we encourage questioning and idea augmentation. It creates a competitive advantage through specialization. People collaborate instead of compete. Now, it's the leader's job to put together that robust group of people that can complement each other's personalities and shortcomings. But it's also our responsibility to say to ourselves, I do have these shortcomings, but I also intuitively have a competitive advantage here because I understand this stuff more and I'm just more passionate about it. Very useful. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the ultimate leadership flex. For instance, if someone's lacking shame or humility, or if someone's stepping out of line, or if I'm talking to someone that's older in my family, but there's a level of respect that I need to show. You know, all of these things require us to be there. And at the very least, understand that silence has an effect. And the effect is it causes people to pay attention. I discovered the not acting response is actually very important for realizing the power of silence, and conversely, you actually being present. If you're able to subtract yourself from a circumstance, and circumstances where you're needed specifically, hopefully, and it's been a really valuable activity for me, I've begun to realize why me being somewhere is actually useful. For instance, in a family struggle or a conversation that's a difficult conversation, sitting there and not saying anything, even though you have an opinion, if you're used to voicing your opinion, is a really good way of contextualizing how much you matter. That's the important part here. You got to know when to step in when needed, and you got to know when to step back when needed. If you're used to stepping in, learn to step back. If you're used to stepping back, learn to step in and see how that differentiates the outcome. Very valuable. Emotional intelligence as a system, a trackable practice. So if emotional intelligence was a system, what would be the inputs, outputs, and the feedback loop? Okay, so the inputs of emotional intelligence, I would say, would be seeds of inspiration, good nutrition and sleep, and social time with aligned people. Seeds of inspiration, every creative person that is wealthy in their mind and the people around them has consistent access to something that inspires them. And they are creative enough to actually get inspiration out of things that other people are usually not inspired by. Documentaries, movies, shows, books, observing human beings, being present in the moment. Gut microbiome in general is a very, very important thing to pay attention to. Things that we eat are very important because our gut also impacts our brain, also impacts our emotion. social time with aligned people. I can't advocate this enough. You need to have a tribe, and you need to understand who your tribe is. And the sooner you do that in life, and it can evolve, and I think it's always going to evolve if you're changing as a human being, but having the awareness to be like, dude, I need to have people around me that get where I'm coming from. So important. There's no substitute to being social with people that turn you on, either sexually or intellectually, either or spiritually, whatever it is. Like, people who got to turn you on. The outputs of emotional intelligence: connection, clarity, alignment with your vision, an aura of excellence and maturity. Just becoming wiser and older is indicated by the growth of your emotional intelligence. The more calm you are, the more you want to know where you go, the more you can actually be a pillar for people in a world that's pretty chaotic. The feedback loop that you can get into, the positive feedback loop you can get into. The healthier your internal state, the more you give, the more opportunities find you. So that's a service-based mentality. The healthier your internal state, meaning clarity of mind, obviously physiologically, the amount of sleep, nutrition, the more you give, the more you're capable of exuding your soul to the people around you. And the more you do that, the more the karmic cycle of things will hopefully affect your life. Daily reps: stay balanced in stress, be grateful, move your body, listen more, ask hard questions, avoid being taken for granted. Being taken for granted is rough for your emotional intelligence. It actually hinders every part of your life. Build emotional intelligence the same way you build muscle, through reps, meditation. Section 6, creating emotionally safe environments. Don't be an asshole. Objectively judge. Objectivity before judgment. Look at the truth, not emotions alone. Know how you want to be treated and remove toxicity from your environment. Emotional intelligence also means about your ability to protect your emotional state and to determine what things are actually messing with it. Journaling or AI reflection for idea distillation, super useful. I don't really allow any sort of public ridicule if it's not completely objective. And I also don't condone bullying in my environment. I am very, very opposed to bullying, even in the slightest ways, just like making fun of how people look and stuff. I hate to make people's lives more miserable than they need to be, So I just don't enjoy bullying in my environment. And then lead with fairness and professionalism, right? If you're not sure about a decision, you're allowed to sleep on it. You don't have to do everything immediately. Very important. If you don't want someone around you, your team doesn't either. Protect your ecosystem. Section 7, rituals for emotional growth. Listen more. Add reading philosophy, reading biographies, wisdom, any sort of literature, poems that give you a sense of something greater than yourself, probably is going to aid in humility and emotional intelligence growth. I cannot stress enough how important it is to learn from older, wiser people, different people, about what it means to be human. You can't grow wise in isolation. You don't need to make all the mistakes yourself. Learn from the emotional journeys of others. The future of leadership, very important. Learning to use power responsibly. You know what you got. Just be careful how you use it. Break shit. Apologize later. And I'm still in the beginning. I'm still breaking shit. I'm still apologizing later, just for the record. But the whole playing it safe, it's not going to give you as much data. And really, you need to get that data as quickly as possible, either through your own experience or the experience of other people. Emotionally intelligent leaders must understand money, power, and systems. Why? For the same reason that I explained to some of the undergrad students that have philanthropic service-based interests, that if you don't understand money, someone that has worse character than you is going to make a bigger impact than you. Stop being lazy. Understand, if you live in the West, there's a certain amount of power that money gets you. You need that power in order to do things at scale. To some degree, the greatest leaders are the ones that are able to organize operations and systems for other people to exist in. Two very valuable concepts. People that are going to be studying and using emotional intelligence-based leadership. Emotionally intelligent people will need power. We just use it with grace. Reminder, put in the reps. Care about your humility while you do it. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Closing line. Emotional intelligence isn't about controlling life. It's about flowing with it. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Thanks for listening. comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. I'll be making videos a little bit more robust from now on. Hopefully they're more enjoyable. Peace.